So, welcome to a video about lighting based on request. Actually, I have had several requests. Half of them have been Playmaker and visual scripting related, and the remaining has been lighting. And since I'm quite busy, I'm going to pick lighting for now, as it's straightforward to use the existing stuff I have rather than showing from scratch. So I'm going to show how I do my lighting passes in terms of establishing if the values of the scene is how I want it to be. I do that by, once I've made the scene and put in my lighting, which obviously takes a lot of time, and there are different videos for that if needed. I will take a screenshot of it, and I will use and I will turn down the saturation completely and make it black and white. This gives me an idea of the gradient grayscale of the values from dark to middle to light. This is a black and white picture, and I use it to kind of establish where something is too dark or too light. And since I accidentally deleted this is how it actually looks like. One of the last passes I did. And this is how it looks black and white. So basically what I do is I turn it down to saturation, I look at it, and I get a general idea of and feel about the picture in itself. And I look around and I kind of see if I get the proper contrast, which means light and dark. So you see there's a lot of darkness here. So if I did another pass, say a improved pass, I'd probably make this one a bit lighter, because there should be a bounce light from the surrounding, which would have improved the surrounding lights basically. So in theory it would be a bit different. In theory it would be a bit lighter. Obviously it wouldn't be that light. It would be more like this. But it would match this one, so it would be more like how it's here. That's what I do. The second thing I do, I posterize, which is the same in Photoshop, I might add. This gives me more clear distinction of darkness, highlights, and basically the value. And when I talk about value, I talk about again dark, middle, and light. So here you see the lightest part, which isn't exactly that light. In many senses, it probably should be a bit more lighter, like this. In many sense, it would have been. So it might be the fact that I don't have a strong enough intensity in the picture. So if I were to change it now, I probably would make sure that there would be more white. But that can be checked by doing a complete cutout. When you do a complete cutout, you just see black and white. And the intention is to see the basic shape of the image, or at least the sources of the light, so you can distinguish it. And it gives you a general idea of the scene. Again, this is one of them. This is black and white again. And if I again do a grayscale, again I'll see that there is a gradient. Now again, if I would have fixed this a little bit more, I probably would have made sure that there was again bounce lights and a few other things. I did do 2 passes on that one. There is one more here where you see it's black and white, and you see I did a quick fix earlier today just to give a quick example on making sure that it is a bit more bounce light in the picture compared to what we have here, where it's rather black and white. But still, you'll see the highlight, you see the scale, you see the value, you get a general idea of the main source lights. Again, you will see here, you see grayscale, you see some light, you see some hint here as well, and you see that there's a bit difference in the values I have here compared to here. And you also see the reflection, also so to speak the shadows. Again, let's look at the outside picture, which is often more easier to show. This is one of the images, and you can do a grayscale, black and white, and you get the general idea of the darkest shadows. The crease would be in here. You see it's a bit lighter but still dark. Around other places again, you see the darkest one over here. Right. Again, if I do a cutout or a posterize, you can kind of see the image itself. That's the lighted sources. You see the darkness, and you kind of get the idea of there is a ship there or an object. This is one of the lighting I'm currently doing for the game Wounded for Workbench Entertainment. This is the grayscale. It gives me an idea of the main highlight, the sources, the speculation as well. Again, here you see the highlights, you see the color, you see the shadow. It gives me a general idea of how it looks. And I do posterize, and I get to see the lightest area, I get to see the speculation, I get to see the darkest area, and I'm trying to see if I can still tell the main source lights. And here again you can see the main light, what's happening and where it's going. Again, you will notice that in here you do not see any white color or here, so I will probably maybe fix that in the future. This is the older version. This was the first pass, and you can see it looks quite different before and after using this specific technique. You can see the colors are really bland. There's not that much difference in its value. If you consider there's 9 different values, or 10, depends on what kind of traditional art theory you use. There aren't that many differences here compared to, say, this one, where you kind of can see the shadows, the creasing of everything, versus here where it's becoming still kind of boring, and it becomes a bit difficult to identify even the main sources which are in front, which you can do here. You can identify the main sources. Again, this is the original, which looks like this. This one I did editing on. Here again you'll see that it's difficult to see the remaining of the scene, the hills, the mountains, the objects. Here you see again it's almost grey and whitish. There's enough darkness, there's a few of it. I can't try this one, this kind of clear. Again, it's clear, you see the rest of the image. Here it's a bit difficult. Here you kind of see the darkest corners where the shadows are, because light is coming from the front and hitting down. here is kind of washed out. Again, this is the image of the first one. So what I do next after that, after going through this process, just to ensure that the values are correct, you should be able to put any color and still kind of identify the image through black and white. So I'll do, for example, color balance, and I'll change the shadow to, for example, greenish, and I'll do the midtones to, for example, bluish, and I'll do highlights, for example, yellow. And you can still identify the scene. That's the main source, and you see the highlights, the midtones, and the shadow. So if I continue to play around, say the highlight to be this, the midtone, maybe you want it to be yellowish, and maybe you want the shadow to be more bluish. The scene is still identifiable. If you do a quick one for this one, which is the other area I did, again just take red, let's do midtone magenta, let's do highlight blue. It's still more or less identifiable. Let's do this one again. I do color balance, again I do shadow, red, midtone, let's go for green, and highlight, let's go for blue. It's still identifiable. It's alright, it's not perfect by any means, but it's identifiable. Sorry about that, pop up, someone playing. Color balance, shadow, let's go for bluish. Midtone, let's go for yellowish, and highlight, let's go for cyan. Again, the image is still artistic, still identifiable. Let's do this one, which was something I edited earlier today, and let's try again. Shadows, make them yellow. Midtone, let's make that, actually let's make that blue. And shadows, let's make that red. Again, the scene is rather identifiable. Again, let's continue just to make sure it sticks with you why I do this. Go for blue. The reason I'm going for blue is because generally that scene is just blue greenish already. And the midtones, there will be a bit more yellowish, greenish. Actually, let's make it like this. And the highlight would probably be much more yellowish. And see this one? This one is very clear. The reason this one is clear also because of color palette that I purposely kind of thought about this time around, which is also what you want to do eventually, which will be probably another video in the future, how you would approach this in the long run. Yeah. Let's try with this one, which was the first try. And take blue, midtone green, and highlight red. Or here you do see the scene, but at the same time you can kind of see it becoming difficult to identify the background and the foregrounds. And that's kind of why you have to do this approach. We can do the original one. Let's do shadow completely blue. Let's do midtone completely yellow. And let's do, actually let's do highlight completely yellow, and let's do midtone cyan. It's still identifiable, but it's a bit messy. Again, that has to do with value. If the value was a bit different, it wouldn't be as chaotic. Blue, cyan, yellow.